A new report from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler claims that star offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not close on a new contract for the young star left tackle. So today we're going to be talking about the possibility of the Commanders making a big-time trade late in the offseason to go out and get Tristan Wirfs. But before we get into that, make sure you click that subscribe button today for daily Commanders videos breaking down the latest news and rumors surrounding this football team, breaking news coverage. So if a trade does go down, we're either going to go live with some live coverage, or we'll at the very least get you guys a breaking news video here on the channel. We also have a weekly live show every single Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And oh yeah, it's all 100% free. So if you bleed burgundy and gold, you love this football team, you want daily coverage here on YouTube, this is going to be the place for you. Make sure you click that subscribe button right now. So here is the report from Jeremy Fowler here, where he says, hashtag Bucs offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs did not report to OTAs and doesn't plan to in the immediate future, per source. The multi-year All-Pro seeks a long-term contract and does not want to risk injury. Sides have not made progress on a new deal. So this begs the question here for the Washington Commanders. If he is available via trade, and he's put on the trade block sometime this offseason, should they go get him? Well, let's look at his Pro Football Focus grades through the first 4 years of his career, and he's been one of the best players in the National Football League at the offensive tackle position. Last year, he made the transition from right tackle to left tackle, and his PFF grade did go down from 93.8 at right tackle in 2022 to 81.1 at left tackle in 2023, but the 2 years before 2022 there with an 84.6 and an 81.8, where he was the right tackle for the Super Bowl champion Buccaneers back when they had Tom Brady there during the COVID campaign. And when you look at the Commanders' situation at offensive tackle, there's not a whole lot of great options. Yes, the Commanders drafted Brandon Coleman in the 3rd round to potentially be the future left tackle of this football team, but after a really poor 2023 campaign, multiple injuries throughout his college career, and really a poor showing at the Senior Bowl this year when he was apparently fully healthy, it just doesn't seem like he has the foot speed, at least in my opinion, to be a reliable left tackle option for the Commanders in week 1. Then you have Cornelius Lucas, who you brought back in free agency. He's your veteran option. Andrew Wiley's probably going to be more of your right tackle than your left tackle. And then we have no idea what to expect from Jayden Daniels, who was a mid-round pick last year. He was drafted to be more of a project and kind of like a high upside kind of guy. So it's going to be interesting to see if any of these folks can really step their game up heading into this year and really establish themselves as the legit left tackle of this football team. And, I would say that the only issue with potentially going out and getting a Tristan Wirfs via trade is that he's going to be an extremely valuable trade piece for them. So if they do put him on the trade block, they're going to want a lot for him, okay? They're going to probably want a 1st-round pick at the very latest. And when you're in the position that you're in with the Washington Commanders, are you really in the position where you're going to be willing to give up a 1st-round pick next year? And because you have a rookie quarterback, because you do have some roster holes still on this football team, do you really want to give up what might end up being a top 10 draft pick and a cornerstone building block for this franchise to go out and get an offensive tackle who just had an 81.8 Pro Football Focus grade at left tackle last year? Now, that's not terrible, but are you giving up a top 10 pick plus giving him a new contract to be able to do that? I'm not too sure, especially because he's expected to make top of market here at offensive tackle. He's a multiple-time All-Pro. He's still very young. He's one of the most talented offensive linemen in the entire league. And Penei Sewell got 4 years, $28 million this past offseason. And I think that's probably what is the baseline for what Wirfs is going to want. And I just don't think I want to pay that much if I am the Washington Commanders for an offensive tackle, even though this is a dire need for the Commanders, and I'd probably be willing to give up 2 second-round picks for Tristan Wirfs. I'm not giving up a 1st-round pick, and that's the end of the story for me. Now, let me know down there in the comments section, would you trade your 1st-round pick next year for Tristan Wirfs to be your next franchise left tackle? Remember, you have to give him $28 million per year at least over the next 4 seasons if you make this trade as well. So let me know. Type A if you're accepting this offer, or type D if you're declining this offer. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. Now, coming up here on the Commanders Report, I got some other options outside of Tristan Wirfs that the Washington Commanders can consider to kind of fill this hole at left tackle before the start of the 2024 campaign. But before we get into that, I want to have a word from our sponsor here at PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the PrizePicks app today and use our code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks has specials for new and returning users alike for the NBA playoffs right now. And guys, football season's been over and it's not going to be back for a little bit while now. But, what I love about the NBA here, especially during the playoffs, is that, yes, it's high stakes, but you can make it even more high stakes and make it even juicier and more fun to watch for yourself when you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Or download the PrizePicks app today and use our code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. So if you're wondering how you play, here's how you play, folks. There's a bunch of players and there's a bunch of stat projections on the PrizePicks app or on their website. And all you have to do is pick 2 to 6 players and pick more than or less than on that stat projection. And if you get all of them right, you get a massive payday. Okay, so you get some. So you can see my projections for tonight's NBA action here between the Indianapolis Pacers and the Boston Celtics in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals tonight. I'm going to take the less on rebounds for Jason Tatum, the more on Drew Holiday points, and the less on points for Tyrese Halliburton. You can go check it out right now at CLNS or prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the PrizePicks app today and use our code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. With our friends at PrizePicks, you can pick more or you can pick less. It's that easy with our friends at PrizePicks. Okay, now let's get into some of the other left tackle options here. And let's start with David Bakhtiari, who is probably definitely the best available option on the free agency market. And according to Ian Rappaport in a report that he put out today, he says that Bakhtiari is on the mend from his injury from last year. This is what Rapp had to say. Former Packers All-Pro left tackle David Bakhtiari, who is recovering from knee surgeries, had a positive follow-up exam with expert Dr. Brian Cole, and Cole proclaimed him to be on schedule for a 2024 season return. Cole is the chairman of orthopedics at Rush University Medical Center in Chicago and chairman of surgery at Oak Park Hospital. So listen, man, when it comes to David Bakhtiari, I think he brings probably the best combination of cheap contract and then really good talent and ability. Because you look at the pass blocking grades from this guy throughout his career, even though he's been injured throughout pretty much the last 5 years, collectively, it's been excellent, man. Just last season, 89.9 Pro Football Focus grade. Granted, he only played in 1 game last year, but then in 2022, where he played a good chunk of the season, he had an 87.8 pass block grade according to Pro Football Focus. So this is definitely somebody that is still capable of being one of the best pass protectors in the National Football League. And with a team like the Commanders, where you have Jayden Daniels, kind of a spindly rookie quarterback that you need to protect, I think that David Bakhtiari, if he's willing to come to Washington, could be an excellent fit, but that really is the big question, isn't it? Bakhtiari's getting older. He might want to go play for more of a competitor. Right now, the Washington Commanders are more of a rebuilding team, so is that really something that's attractive to a guy like David Bakhtiari, who's probably ring chasing at this point in his career? And what I'll say to this, and I think the only way that he'd be interested in signing with the Washington Commanders is if there's no competitive teams out there that are willing to play him or at least start him at left tackle. If Bakhtiari really wants to start in 2024 and the Commanders are the only team really offering him a chance to do that, then that's when I think he would take a contract with the Commanders. But at this point, because he is probably ring chasing and he's looking to play for a competitor, I don't think it's a likely destination for Bakhtiari at this point. I think probably the more likely option, if you're going the free agency route, is Donovan Smith, formerly with the Kansas City Chiefs and then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who he started his career with. You look at his profile here, he's 30 years old. He had a pretty poor Pro Football Focus grade last year at 55.4, but he was the starting left tackle on a Super Bowl champion team with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he was the starting left tackle for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they won their Super Bowl back during the 2020 season. And, I think the thing that concerns people about Smith and why he hasn't been picked up as of yet, he also was a late signing in last year's offseason, is that the pass protection element of his game has dipped quite a bit over the last several seasons. You look at that dip from 2021 where he graded out as an 84.7 pass protector. Then he goes to 70.0 in 2022 in his final year there with the Buccaneers. And then last year he goes to the Kansas City Chiefs and at 60.3. So he is getting older. You know, the production in terms of pass protecting is going down. So this is certainly a risk. And I would certainly rather have David Bakhtiari. I think Bakhtiari has more of a resume of past success here and more recent success in terms of his grading. And if he can stay healthy, I think Bakhtiari is the better option. But I'm also okay with Donovan Smith, who has played for winning football teams in the past. At least he'd be a Band-Aid for this offensive line here, which is really in dire straits after not being able to get a top left tackle in the 2024 NFL Draft. And if you don't want to get somebody in free agency or via trade, you could move Sam Cosmi over to left tackle. Now, I want to preface this by saying I understand why people don't want to move Sam Cosmi from right guard. He was an all-pro caliber player there last year, but I think this is something the Commanders can at least think about, because you look back when Cosmi was coming out of Texas as a tackle a few years back, he graded out as a 9.99 on the relative athletic score testing as a tackle. So he's got the tools to be able to be a tackle in the league, and he was drafted to be a tackle. Remember that, but then the Commanders placed him at right tackle instead of left tackle where he played his college ball. It's the reason why he got drafted in the early part of day 2 of the NFL draft that year, and he's more comfortable on the left side. So is it really all that crazy to think that Cosmi, who maybe wasn't the best fit at right tackle, would be a lot better at left tackle, especially with his skill set and ability to move people at the line of scrimmage? I'm certainly open to this idea of moving Cosmi over to left tackle, but I understand why people oppose it and why people are afraid to move Cosmi off of right guard, because that's the one spot on this offensive line where it's 100% for sure we have a good player there. And if you move Cosmi away from that, you're just creating another question mark on this offensive line. So maybe that's not the best option here. Maybe you would go out and get a David Bakhtiari or a Donovan Smith, or maybe go out and get a Tristan Wirfs. Let me know down there in the comments section what you would do at this position. Type DB for David Bakhtiari, type DS for Donovan Smith, type SC for Sam Cosmi, or if you trade a first-round pick to go out and get Tristan Wirfs, type TW. And if you want somebody else, guys, let me know down there in the comments section, and let me know who you want to start at left tackle for the Commanders next season. That'll be it for today's show, guys. Really do appreciate all of your support. Make sure you click that subscribe button right now for more Commanders content coming your way all throughout the 2024 offseason.